Well, hello everyone, and welcome to my read-through of Vinland Saga, part 11 now. Like, my goodness, it's been so many weeks and we've done it. And I am here. This is my first read-through of Vinland Saga, and I am joined by the man who's read Vinland Saga to its entirety, read the latest chapter that came out like yesterday or something. Bacon, Jarkey Bacon.
Me, yes, I did read yesterday. I used my eyeballs to ingest words and literature and nice pretty drawings.
That's good to hear.
That's what I did.
Well, today we are covering English Book 11, which is Japanese volumes 21 and 22, which is chapters 145 to 160. Which, in terms of what's covered, we get War in the Baltic. Somewhat of an end. Like, we cover like, I think we cover most of it, but I guess we'll see going forward. In terms
I think
of
that was the last of the War in the Baltic chapters. I think that was the last of them. So,
yep, War in the Baltic, like part 36 or something, I think. Crazy. What a long chapter. So we open with Thorfinn, Hild, Sigurd, Fatty, and Garm all infiltrating Jomsborg. Then we get Thorfinn's confrontation with Floki. We get a bunch of people holding Baldr hostage. The battle with Thorkel's men begins, so like the big battle begins basically. We get Thorfinn and Garm fighting, and the big battle ends. And then we get Thorfinn disbanding the Vikings, and then the book ends at Thor's grave with Gudrid confessing that she loves Thorfinn. So, crazy book. So much happens.
A lot happens.
I can't believe
it.
I had so many notes I had to write. My goodness. And I didn't want to write them. You know, the better it is, the less I want to write them. But in terms of overall thoughts, I think this is the best book, like, so far. Like, I can't believe how many good chapters there were. Like S tier chapters. Like, I know my favorite book up to now was I think the final one of the Farmland one.
Book 7. Book 7.
Yeah, book 7, which was so good as well. Like, I still love that, but this was like, for different reasons, I think this is equally as good. Like, so engaging and better. It's tough because they're so different. Like, that one was all about like character growth and like slavery and stuff. This is all about war, and I'd say it's less about character. I mean, it is about characters, but it's less about character moments and more about larger character arcs, I think. But man, I don't know. I think I like them just.
So what you're saying is that you're saying that the prologue is the worst arc.
I guess in a way I'm saying I think some stuff that happens here it makes
we're here, we're winning.
Okay. But some stuff that happens in here makes the prologue a bit better. All right.
For sure.
But yeah,
I think we know at the moment, right? So
yeah.
Anyway, let's get to some standout art while I go and try and find a meme I made a while ago. I'm kind of jumping the gun, maybe, I don't know. But
no, I was just gonna. I want to know what you think. You reread this, right? What are your thoughts on this book?
I mean, I reread it a while ago for my Ymir video, so I kind of saw it again. I mean, I guess I'm pretty familiar with this book actually, but I still really enjoyed it actually.
Yeah, cool.
So yeah, I mean, there's only one kind of complaint, and it's not.
I can't wait to hear it. So. All right.
Well, it should be surprising. So, anyway, here we go. I found the greatest meme you'll ever see.
Oh boy! All right.
You can post in the video. I put this on Twitter.
Oh, beautiful!
There you go.
Love it.
Yeah,
I didn't even notice. That's great. Oh my goodness, the edit.
Yeah. Oh, it's incredible.
All right.
Incredible.
Yep. So check out Jarkey Bacon on Twitter, everyone. All right.
I make great memes. If you're a Vinland Saga fan, it's all Vinland Saga. That's what I ever talk about. If you look to condense my Twitter personality, it's just Vinland Saga.
Perfect.
And pixel art. I like a lot of pixel art. So there's 2 personality traits. But that's pretty much my online persona at this point. So I adopt it fully.
All right. Well, guess what? I have more overall thoughts. Can you believe it, Bacon? My goodness.
Sorry. I jumped the gun completely. My bad.
I got like 20. No, I don't know. Okay, so the first thing is it was great. The second thing is that I think the visuals, because we get Garm's backstory, and I think the visuals in that are so great. Like, yeah, just throughout this book, there's so many great. Like, it's more of a there's more experimenting with the kind of visuals you see. Like, it's not always literal stuff. I really like it. Like in this book, just throughout the different.
It's less naturalistic. Yeah.
Yeah, especially Garm's backstory. Man, there's some great stuff in that.
Yeah. Okay, my man.
I would also say we'll start off like the proper discussion about this, but there was also a bunch of short stories that I really liked. But we'll start off with that. But first, standout art. There's so many. This time there's a lot. I don't even count how many there were. But the first ones are just a bunch of depictions of war, basically. So we got this one, which is the beginning of the charging of Jomsborg by Askir's men.
Yeah.
Or Thorkel's men in a way. Great. What a cool visual, you know? We get this one with the man being spiked up with all the spears. What a crazy cool visual again. We get this one's probably my favorite, just in terms of like depicting war, but it's like a bent over Thorkel just being so happy, and he's like, "Oh, war, I love you!" Like, what a great, like, this would make a great poster or something. Like, it's so good.
Yeah. My only issue with that panel is that I feel like there's too much white space on it, you know, because of the bubbles. Like, I kind of wish I could see out the bubbles.
No, I guess that makes sense.
It's just it's a little too chaotic. I feel like I like to see a clean version for sure.
Yeah,
maybe there is one. Maybe Ymir was like, okay, I'll just draw around it, and you know.
Yep. I don't know. I like it. It's showing us a bit of Thorkel's character, you know, with the dialogue, you know, beautiful.
Oh, I think for the actual manga itself, yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. Yeah.
All right. Next up, we get a great fight between Garm and Thorfinn, and I think what's really interesting is that we see it from Thorfinn's first-person perspective. Like, it took me a while to like notice what was happening. Like, I went back, like I read a page and I'm like, what's happening here? And I went back and it was his perspective. I thought it was so cool. Like, I've never seen anything like this where it's like fast-paced action, but you're like the protagonist in that situation. I just thought it was so cool.
There is one other time where it happens in this manga.
Like before
you've
this?
seen already. Yeah. Cast your mind back to
how far back? Jesus.
In chapter 1. When Thorfinn is killing the initial guard.
Yeah.
The first person shot there. It's not nearly as extended as this, but
interesting. Yeah. That's I like that a lot. Okay. I'll have to reflect, you know, how it synthesizes with this.
Yeah. And I want to also give a shout out that someone animated this first person perspective in PictoChat. So you know, the Nintendo DS?
Yeah. What a strange way to animate it. I love it.
Yeah, it was incredible. I want to find it now, but I don't know if I could. Who is it? It is. Oh, it's Carl Sefney. Yes, I remember Carl Sefney. That will be in the description. We want you to go see the original artist yourself, because animation is very hard, and it's very cringe to put animation you didn't make without permission in your video. So
absolutely. Thank you for keeping me in check, Bacon.
Yeah, no worries. I don't want you getting cancelled.
Good. All right, so next up, standout art. It's from the beginning of Garm's backstory. This is probably the best visual in again, I say this every time I'm sure, but the best visual in all of Vinland Saga. It's when Thorfinn knocks Garm into his backstory, basically. And it's like, I don't know, it's scattered across the panels and he's fading into unconsciousness, so he's like fading out over time, and I don't know, a small little corner, it's all cloudy, like baby Garm, you know, I love it.
Baby Garm.
It's so good. What a cool visual. So good. And this is like, it's so unique, like so far. Like a lot of we don't see much of this abstract stuff throughout Vinland Saga up till now, but we got so much of it in this book, which I love. And then here's another one from Garm's backstory, which stood out. I get all of it stands out, so I just took two random ones, but the first one definitely is my favorite. But this one with the mouth and like it's so cool. So
he's Garm, the Hellhound.
He is indeed, which we get a bit of info in the volume bonus about. It's cool stuff.
I think one of the interesting thing about this arc is how specific Yukimura is with his naming of certain characters and how they're linked to the mythological characters they are named after. So someone like Baldr in Norse mythology is literally a really, really good person. Like he's like the best. He's like the nicest god. He's like the best god. That's from what I know. But he dies, and so that's like a big thing. He's like the only god that dies, and so that's like a big point in like Norse mythology history, I guess. So
this book is a subversion.
At which point, I guess, but it kind of like Baldr. It fits his character quite well to be called Baldr. The same thing with Garm. Garm's just pure chaos, and that's like Garm being the Hellhound, and yeah. So anyway, it's just apt naming.
Beautiful, and Ymir, of course. We'll get to
and
that.
Ymir, of course.
Okay, the next standout art is two enemy warriors at the end of the battle from different sides, just sitting there, waking up and talking to each other. I thought it looked so cool, looking into the distance.
Yeah.
Now this, okay, so I kind of always want to base my going forward, standout art on the actual art, but this was just too good to not include. Like it's not particularly stand out for the art, I don't think, but it's just as a moment, like it's so damn good. Like seeing Thorfinn, like doing his like Thor's kind of thing. Like, all right, I'm gonna protect my own life, not take my opponents, and still win. And then you go to the bottom, his like Astlad expression, being like, it's no fun unless you give yourself a real challenge. It's so great, man. And it looks good as well. Like I wouldn't say it's standout or anything, but man, it's a great moment, a great thing to see.
Is very fun. Yeah.
Smug
Thorfinn's very fun. So gotta love it. That was probably my favorite part in the reread. Just to see facial expressions, they make me gooey inside. Gooey. So yeah.
Now the last standout art. Are you ready for this amazing piece? All right. This is Sigurd.
I knew you were gonna like it.
It's so good. It's so good. It's just like, I don't know, it's just a repeated motif, and the last one is the only one with anything different. I love it so much. What a bold decision, taking up a whole page for this, and then seeing that tiny little Sigurd at the end. Beautiful.
Did you get the Thorkel Shining reference?
Oh yeah. I mean, I haven't seen The Shining, but I mean, everyone. I got the reference.
No, you got the reference. Yeah, same. I'm same here.
Yep, it's great.
But yeah,
wait, did you, or is that you didn't like that, or you liked it?
No, that's just one that's no, I like it. I mean, I didn't actually get the reference straight away. What was it? It's one of those things that like single piece of artwork that gets posted on the subreddit all the time, and I have to remove. It's like, oh, guys, look, there's a Shining reference in Vinland Saga. And we're like, oh, really? Oh, wow, goodness. I never noticed that one before.
That's so funny.
Wow.
The trials and tribulations of moderation.
Oh yeah, indeed. And then they get mad at you.
Yeah, I'm sure.
You're having to follow the rules that you set up, which they didn't read. So
Yep. You're just a part of a system,
yeah.
All right.
It's not my fault. It is my fault. I want to remove it. Yes.
Yeah, you got to go. Oh, no. Okay. Let's continue. So we're going to talk about some S tier short stories about the futility of war. All right. Man, are these so good? Like there's a few of them in this, and I think they even just transcend Vinland Saga. Like you could read this on their own, I think, and it just stands out as like a story. So I've got 3 of them. The first one is in chapter 145, where I guess it's the first chapter in this book, which is the opening story with Olaf and his friend, who are like 2 people who are being executed in Jomsborg, I think. And like I've got a summary, I guess, for if people not that familiar with it, but you've got this person who is questioning the purpose of his life. Like he lived basically the model life that every Viking would want to live, but for what end? Like for Valhalla? But if it was for Valhalla, then it's just more of the same, of like how he has lived his life. Or was it instead for some higher purpose? But he said that he could never find that purpose in his life. So what was really the meaning behind it all, basically? He's just pondering that the whole time. And while he's pondering it, he forgets to look at his friend's execution, who he was hoping to see. Before being
to see if the soul came out of the head or the neck, right?
Indeed. What a cool idea as well. It's like you shrug your shoulders and like open your mouth or something, and it's like then we'll know which one you're in. So what a cool short story.
Yeah.
Which I like so much. But in terms of like analyzing it, I thought that there's like two aspects here, which is the first is like a grand scale commentary on the futility of war, which like permeates this book. I think like that, or this whole book is basically like an anti-war message. And the other way of taking it is like if you interpret it like a micro scale kind of commentary about a wasted life, where like you have this man who, I mean, I don't know if this, like it comes down to like what the author intended. I don't think this is what the author intended, but like you've got this man who is like a deep thinker who's clearly like reflecting, and he could have even made a good philosopher with all these thoughts, you know. And like even like that thing we were talking about, like, oh, if you shrug your shoulders and look at, oh, like open your mouth or something, like what a cool like idea for a man, you know. It's pretty clever. He could be a scientist or something, but here he is dying as a as a warrior in a life that he feels like he wasted. And then the final line where it's like, oh damn, I forgot to look. Like it's like this simple line of like, like I don't know why it works clutch. So well, but it just works so well.
Clutch.
Yeah. And then he dies like at the end.
Yeah. I mean, so what I've found that I've started loving more and more is within a grander scale, if you just have these individual chapters, which you're able to weave into the grander narrative, kind of like Anne's chapter way back, of just a simple, powerful story that has a very internal message, so you could just kind of send to anybody and be like, hey, read this. I actually, in one of the chapters, I mean, I'll just say the chapter number so people know which one it is. I won't say what it's about, but chapter 189, it came out, blew me away. I thought it was incredible. And I sent it to my uncle, you know, who like once, like I remember he actually watched some of my videos once, and we got talking about Breaking Bad, and he's like a linguist professor, and he actually used a clip from The Wire to teach in his classes and stuff, which is very cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Actually, that clip was basically you've probably seen it because you watched my video, right? It's the one where they just drop the F-bomb basically loads of times. And here, because he's a linguist professor, he says the same sound, the same word can mean so many different things depending how you use it, right? And that's kind of like what he's trying to convey, like linguistically. Anyway, I sent it to that chapter to him alone. Never heard of Vinland Saga, never read it before. I may have talked to him about it slightly, that I quite like it. He actually watched my interview with the Scanlation team. Actually, now I remember about it. But anyway, he really liked it, and I was just like, I'm glad I can just send this one little tidbit, and he likes it a lot. So you know, like, he doesn't need to read the whole thing. He'd probably like if he read the whole thing. But
like it stands on its own.
Yeah, and I've noticed this particularly with Urasawa's 20th Century Boys. Urasawa's a very, I mean, I think I think in some ways he's probably the contender for the GOAT mangaka of all time. In some ways, you know, he's written Monster, he's written 20th Century Boys, he's written highly acclaimed manga, like multiple ones for that matter, you know. And it's great just to see a master. The GOAT aside, don't worry about the GOAT bit. It's pretty stupid, but just a master at their craft at work, and how he has basically his whole story. This 20th Century Boys, I'm like 8 volumes in, and it's the same arc. Like it just keeps on going, like going deeper and deeper. And it's on the same kind of plot threads, but it just keeps on getting bigger and bigger. And but like in between them, he always threads like just a little small story of just one person. Gets you really attached to that person, and you don't necessarily see them again. You may see them again, you may not see them again. One time, like in the first book, he's shown one character, then somehow linked them again back in later, and that was like a big pog moment. You know, so it's really cool to see like masters at their craft just elegantly telling a story. You know, I don't know, it's really elegant to me for whatever reason. So, man. Sorry, ramble.
Hey, I'll definitely read that then one day. Very interesting.
Yeah, no, I mean, I need to read Monster as well. I haven't watched the anime or manga, but I mean, Urasawa, I mean, he's very impressive.
He's the GOAT, is what I hear from you.
I wouldn't say he is the GOAT, but you know, I think you can. I mean, he's in the conversation. I would have thought, maybe not. I mean, he's one of those writers that you hear everybody else. I think it's someone like Vinland Saga in a way. You hear a lot about it, but it's not necessarily like super mainstream in terms of discourse. But generally, like if you're into it, and you want to read a classic, here's the stuff to go to. You know, like it's kind of that must-read literature, I guess.
Yeah,
maybe, I don't know.
No, I know what you mean. I get what you mean. Okay. That was chapter 145 with the opening story with Olaf and his friend. The next one, short story. Yes, this is my favorite chapter, I think, in all of Vinland Saga. It's so good. Chapter 154, which is you've got like essentially you follow the death of this one man who was in Askir's suicide squad. And you just see him, he dies, like he makes it through the gate and then falls down, and everyone's like looking at, or one man looks at him, he's like, oh, you're finally dead. And like you just basically see him as he's dying, and he sees Thorkel the Great, and he's like, man, what a great man he was. And he's fearing his death, and the Valkyries aren't coming. He's not going to Valhalla, and he's scared. And I don't know, it's so good. Like it's essentially like you're seeing this brave man who is like the definition of bravery. He's charging into battles on a suicide mission. He's taken so many arrows and he's still going. And if he doesn't get to Valhalla, then no one will. And it's like, it's so, what a cool, like, self-contained story. And like, even for some reason, I don't think this would be a thing in the original, like the Japanese, but like the final line, or I don't know if it's the final, one of the last lines where it's like, boss friends don't die. There's no Valhalla. It's all a lie. And it just rhymes, and it's so perfect. And you see that as his face is like crying, or as he's dying and he's like crying at the same time. It's just, I like it so much. Like, it's a great chapter. And it's like, that's the entire chapter. Like, there's nothing else going on. You're just witnessing his perspective for the whole chapter. Man, what a cool thing.
Okay, it's interesting because some people don't like this chapter as much because it's very eschatologically
Jesus.
A confirmation. Like, just
what
like
is that word?
It basically, sorry, like it just means that like it's been confirmed that Valhalla doesn't exist. I guess like it's like in the lore of Vinland Saga, in the world building, it's now confirmed. You know that this religion is bunk. And so I think some people preferred if he kept it more vague, maybe. I personally was like you. I quite enjoyed it, but I was wondering if you would like it or not.
I didn't like it. I loved it. This is the best chapter so far. I love it. It's so good, Bacon.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I mean,
think you said 1 week you were like a bit unsure about one thing. Anyway, it led me to believe, be like, oh, I'll flag this chapter up and see what you think about it.
No, definitely not.
Temperature checked at the time.
All
right.
I think maybe just the one thing on this is that, like, when I've been reading all of Vinland Saga, the whole time I've just been assuming it's like based in our world. Like, if Yukimura doesn't know that there's a Valhalla, then I don't think he's going to confirm there's a Valhalla, you know? Like, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be magic in this or anything like that. I don't know. Like, I don't think there'll be a big Ragnarok where it's going to be like the god comes down to Earth and like destroys the world or anything.
He's not going to confirm one religion over the other.
Yeah. Just like like all the Christian stuff. Like, I don't think he's going to confirm that there's a Jesus or anything as well, even though he's a big figure in this. Like, I don't know. Anyway,
I think it's just it does deconfirm it rather than confirm.
True. Yeah. I guess that makes sense. Yeah, I can see where people are coming from.
But yeah, no, I mean, I thought it was a very powerful message, and I think I'm fine with, you know, I mean, I'm not personally offended by it, and I think it's almost vague enough in a way. I mean, I know he kind of says it's not there, but he doesn't show what is on the other side. He just shows it being dark and stuff. And I mean, if you thought Valhalla did exist by this point in the manga, I think it's pretty clear that he doesn't, even though he didn't outright confirm it. I think that it's pretty clear that Yukimura does not endorse the idea of you get to go to Valhalla if you're fighting in battle. I think if he did go to Valhalla, then that would be problematic for the themes for the story. So, yeah. Anyway.
So this chapter is the exemplar of the story. It's beautiful. All right. Perfect, right? Magnum opus. All right.
Magnum, yeah. It's all downhill from here.
I'm sure it is. Okay. Except for that one chapter you said, whatever number that was.
Yeah.
So the final short story is the one I talked about in the Standout art, where you've got Thorkel's, like one of Thorkel's men, and then you've got a Jomsviking, and they both wake up at the end of a battle. Like, the battle has been going on for so long, and everyone's obviously tired, and they hear little skirmishes in the background. And my first note on this is that I just thought it was really funny that they fell asleep. Like, I guess it makes sense. Like, if you've got a really long battle, I'm sure there'd be people just sleeping, and then other people would think they're dead, so they wouldn't, like, kill them or something. But, I don't know, interesting, like, meta kind of thing.
I mean, if think about it. If you're in a fight, I've never really been in a fight, but I played rugby. If you're fighting constantly, like, you're going to be out of breath in the first 5 minutes. If you're wearing heavy chainmail, you're swinging around a sword or an axe or something, right? Like, you're running around. Like, dude, so if you're fighting all night, you're going to be exhausted. Like, it is, you know, like, that's just kind of how it is, you know? So if everybody else is sleeping, you know,
it's probably a good time.
You know, like, probably, you know, sometimes you just have to snooze, I guess, so.
So, it's, in terms of the actual content of this short story, I think, because it's toward the end of the book, feels like the, kind of the climax of the entire theme of this arc, or like whatever, if I don't know if this is the whole arc, but of this War in the Baltic kind of stuff, where it's all about the futility of fighting, where you got this one quote from the guy, is like, yeah, I get it, I'm just sitting here trying to remember why we were fighting in the first place. In fact, you're with Thorkel's army, right? I'm a Joms Viking. And then the guy replies, I know that, nice to meet you. And it's just, like, what was the point of all of this, you know? It's all pointless, where war is futile. And it's great. Cool short story. What a interesting addition to this book. We haven't got too many of these short stories previously. So love it. Now.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Anything you want to say about that? Or any other short stories before we move on?
Not really, actually.
All right. Next up is a very short section, I think, but it's just we start off this book with our main character, well, all of our characters infiltrating Jomsborg. So we get Thorfinn, Hild, Sigurd, Sigurd's friend, who I'm going to call Fatty, because I think that's like all he ever calls him, and Garm.
I think, I've seen other translations call him Piggy, which I think is better, is a better name. Fatty is, I guess. His name is also Ulf, I think, officially.
Wow, that's good to know. All right, he has an actual name. My goodness.
They all have actual names, but they'll be revealed later, I guess. Maybe they've already been revealed. I can't remember.
Yeah, I probably missed it. But man, what a guy. Anyway, we get all these characters, including Garm, and they all break into Jomsborg within like the same 5-minute span. It's so funny. But I don't know. I don't have really. I that's all I wanted to say. That a lot happens with this infiltration, and it's just crazy how like how much happens in this infiltration. Like everyone is here. But that's literally all I've got about this infiltration. The next thing is just a lot more to talk about, which is everything to do with Thorfinn, Floki, and Baldr, basically. And like in particular, that scene, like you start off where you've got Thorfinn, Gudrid, Hild, and Baldr, and they all meet up and they're talking a little bit, and then Floki comes in. So that's like the setting here, but. I thought it was cool how before Floki arrives, they like point out that like neither of these leaders who are in the same room right now, they don't want to, like neither of them wants to lead. So what's the point of this war? Like, why are they fighting? And again, more futility of war, the repetition of the idea throughout the story. But I don't know. I thought it was cute. And then like they all like everyone except Thorfinn starts laughing basically. And it's like, this is a ridiculous situation. But then, yeah. Anything you want to say about that?
Then. Well, I mean, I'm just saying. Last week during the predictions, I was just, I had to hold myself back because you were spot on. I was like, this guy.
Oh yes.
Got the prediction down to a T.
Yep,
he's gonna enjoy next week.
Oh, it was so great. So what we get is Floki walks in. So then now we've got Floki, Baldr, Thorfinn all in a room. Hild's there as well. Great prediction. What a genius I am. And then Thorfinn gets very angry, and it makes me very engaged. I'm like, anything can happen now. I'm like Hild, where Hild's like, you got to be wary of a wounded beast, and I'm there watching, and I'm like, I'm just like, Hild, I got to watch this, man. What's gonna happen? Anything could happen. So I guess my first note is that this like fight, I guess, quote unquote, is very engaging. Like I just wanted to keep reading. Like it's spread across like 2 or 3 chapters. But it's so great. But I think the first thing to point out is that when Thorfinn attacks Floki and like chops his fingers off, and Floki falls to the floor, and then Baldr like grabs him, and this is the panel we see. I felt really sad for Floki for some reason. I was like, this man, like he actually cares, like he cares about Baldr, you know? He's like, oh, Baldr, get off me. And he's like kind of shocked. I don't know. Like I haven't liked Floki. I've been wanting him to like have a bad ending or something. I don't know. But I don't know. For this one moment where I saw him, I was like, man, I don't want this guy to die. Like he's just an old grandpa, you know. Like it makes him look older, I guess, maybe. Where I'm like, man, this poor guy. But yeah. So
yeah, I mean, Floki's interesting in this book. You know, I mean, I think I was ultimately a little bit disappointed with Floki. In this when I first read it, at least. If you go back, if you watch my tier list, I probably hark against him quite a bit. Yeah. Yep. Well, when was that? That was over a year ago, right?
Oh, so, decades ago.
And I think I've definitely softened on him, but his motivations are pretty simple. Like he wants to preserve his legacy. In some ways, but in other ways he does genuinely care for Baldr, and it is a mix. And I think that's the almost confusing part. It's like initially I wasn't quite sure if he actually did care about Baldr. I wasn't, you know, or if he just wanted Baldr's future to be secure, so his legacy was secure, you know, or something like that. You know, like, but he does seem to really actually care for the guy. I think the best place we can see this is in his execution, where you know. Floki's willing to be executed completely as long as Baldr lives, you know. But then later on, he's in the book, and Floki's like, "Oh, I will rebuild my legacy." So Floki isn't a, you know, like the amount of awful things he's done for his legacy. That's his main motivation, which you kind of don't really know until this book. And I guess for someone who has been the main villain, like even when Askeladd kills Thor's. Floki is still the main villain, it feels like, for this whole book, you know, he kind of gets brought back in. It feels a little underwhelming, I guess, but I guess he's the most simple villain. I guess that's the way I can say it.
I know what you mean.
Weirdly simple for Vinland Saga. So
yeah, like it's not like after this moment he doesn't have a big change or anything. Like after this, he's immediately back to like, oh, we need to get Thorfinn, like, we did for the sake of Baldr, you know, like it's like, yeah, he's very simple. But I don't think that makes him bad. Like I still enjoy Floki a lot.
No. I've definitely softened on my critiques of him.
Yep. Yeah. The next point is the fact that Baldr isn't blind to Floki's wrongdoing. Like he points out here that he's like he understood basically. Like when he heard that Floki killed Thorfinn's dad, I think he said. Like he wasn't surprised. Yeah, he's like, yeah, of course, my grandpa would do that. That's the man he is. So I don't know. He's more Baldr is more aware than I thought.
I mean, to talk on Baldr, I think Baldr is probably the most. I dare I say the most underrated character in Vinland Saga, just because he's so overshadowed by everything else in this book. But his character's pretty. I mean, he doesn't have much time with him, I guess, but he's literally a kid that grew up in this environment and just is almost at the age of 10, he's pretty nihilistic in a way.
Yep.
You know, he wants to go fishing, but he realizes all this war is cause of him. He just wants the world to be, you know, he kind of admits in his mind, he just wishes this whole thing to be burnt to the ground, which is pretty stark. You know, you're like, wow, okay, this kid, you know, that's pretty dark.
Like he's
like 10.
He doesn't want peace. He wants freedom, basically.
He just wants this all over. He just wants this world to be destroyed. You know, it's this very like, nihilistic take on it, and then eventually he attempts suicide.
Which that was really interesting. Like it's the fact that just doesn't go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't get talked about enough, and I mean that's part of why I'd be like, oh, I'm not sure if Ymir was a well-served character, because every time you talk about that part of the story, you're thinking about Ymir because you're like, what the heck is this thing, right?
Yeah.
People then like, oh wait, Baldr actually tries. 10-year-old child tries to kill himself in Vinland Saga. So,
well, interesting. Yeah. So, I guess we'll talk about Baldr and Ymir a little bit. So, I guess what we start off is we get that speech from Baldr, which is talking about how he just wants it all to be over. Basically, he wants the Vikings to, like, all the Yoms Vikings to die so that he can have freedom, right? But then later on, like when he sees Ymir, and he sees kind of the Ymir, who is like the embodiment of all the bad stuff that Floki has done, and it's like this literal monster that has been created for the sake of Baldr. You're seeing like that. I guess kind of the way I see Ymir is kind of like that being like, I don't know, just being in Baldr's face. Like, it's an undeniable truth of this man is something that Floki has created. Like, it's just like a representation of the bad stuff. And the fact that when he sees him, like, that's what pushes Baldr to like kind of put away his freedom philosophy, and instead of wanting to create like this or to end all this violence, he wants to end himself. And he's like, I've had enough. Like, I'd rather the other people burn, but if I have to burn for the sake of this, then I'll kill myself. And I don't know, it really works. I think like Ymir is like an embodiment of all that bad stuff. It is weird though. Like,
I think that's a great way of putting it. Actually, I never really quite thought of it as like he is. I mean, it's quite clear that what triggers Baldr to start running away is the fact when Floki like agrees with Ymir to start letting him eat other people so he would keep on fighting Thorkel, right?
Yeah.
Now, I personally think that Floki was just going to leave Ymir high and dry, basically. That was his plan. But then that kind of like, I like how you put it there, like, yeah, he is a literal monster that that Floki created to save Baldr. That is a good way of putting it. I do like that a lot, actually.
Cool.
It's just his application, in some ways, yeah, he's very confusing.
But okay, so actually, do you want to talk about Ymir?
Probably my favorite. Yeah, sure. Let's talk about Ymir. Let's bypass Thorfinn's massive character.
Yeah, we'll go back to that.
Ymir.
What the hell is Ymir? What is Ymir? Bacon, tell me. I don't know. Is he an animal? A human? Like, where was he standing in the room the whole time? When
yeah, he
like,
literally appears on there. So
what a strange thing.
Okay, so my video on Ymir, you may watch it, but I mean, that's kind of like, why Ymir? What is the point of Ymir? What is Ymir trying to do with Ymir? I do like your reading. I haven't heard before, but I like your reading about that he's the physical embodiment. He's this literal monster that Floki has created to save Baldr. Which then, and if you find, and I think Ymir is better if you see him through Baldr's character arc. He just gets overshadowed. Ymir kind of becomes too forefront because you're like, what the heck? It's very confusing. So Ymir, as far as I can tell, is an actual man. He, like, most people think he's an actual guy. He's not like an actual giant or troll or he's just a big hairy dude. It's a bit of, and I think what Ymir ultimately was trying is a bit of comedy in a way, like, and not comedy in a way that you're meant to laugh at. Just like this overwhelming sense of this is ridiculous. Like exasperated humor in a way where you're just like, this is almost absurd as humor in a way where you're like, oh my word, what is going on here? This is so ridiculous. So like everything's climbing. It's just crazy. It's chaos. It's just, and Ymir has done this before, most noticeably with Gudrid's stabbing Sigurd. Like he just appears, the knife just appears in Sigurd's Ymir just appears in the room. You're like, what the heck is going on here? Now, I don't think it works for most readers. Most readers get very confused at this point. I got confused at this point. So I'm not sure I think is, I definitely think it's fair to say that it's not entirely effective. That being said, there is, I guess, foreshadowing of Ymir. There's one point where Floki talks about feeding Garm to his wild dogs, his wild dog, or something like that. So it's early on when like Floki's really mad, and even earlier on, Thorkel is shown fighting a bear. So this is also, in my video, I was kind of focusing on how Ymir relates to Thorkel during this arc, and how Ymir kind of bounces off that, right? Which is different to how you were thinking about Baldr bouncing off, using Ymir. So I think both work, but the start of seeing the Baltic chapters, we were introduced to Thorkel fighting a bear, and that bear not being strong enough. And, at the end of the arc, Thorkel finds his cuddly bear toy, basically, his big plaything. And that's how Thorkel kind of sees him. I think I say more on that. I can't quite remember all of it, but that's kind of like the gist of, like Thorkel does find someone like a play toy strong enough. And it kind of fits, the fact that Ymir exists fits with Thorkel being a bit of a weird, goofy guy. But I mean, Ymir is so big. He's bigger than, he's probably like 10 feet tall. He is way bigger than Thorkel, It's actually insane. So,
when you read it, did you think he was going to beat Thorkel? Because I certainly did. I was like, this might be Thorkel's challenge. Like, this might actually be the man who beats Thorkel here. But yeah, what did you think? Was it too long ago to remember?
Well, so when I read it, I think I just read it so quickly that it was over so quickly that I didn't have time to really compile my thoughts. I was like, hang on, wait. So, okay, we're writing. Okay, yeah, Thorkel's here. He's going to kill Floki. You know, we just had the whole thing with Thorfinn and Garm. I'm down here. Yeah, we're back here. Yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. Ymir appears. Okay, yeah. Baldr's killing himself. Oh, okay. Oh, they've lost. Okay, it's over. And okay, so now, and then by that point, Thorkel's won. You know, like it's not drawn out very much. And I think at this point, I was reading quite quickly as well. So I don't think I had any thoughts really about who's going to win or who's going to lose. I didn't have any impressions, at least.
Yeah. Yep. All right.
Yeah, that's what I remember at least.
All right. Anything else about Ymir? I guess until we go back to
probably the most confusing thing in the whole story. Very confusing.
Oh yeah.
And probably I
think I liked your take on the absurdist humor. Like I think that is like it changes how I think about it a bit. I like it more because of that.
Yeah, I think. I mean, that's the best defense I can come up with it. I do like your take as well with the whole. It is a literal monster embodiment of, but it is also like, Ymir is a caricature, is a complete caricature. He goes, "Yes, Daddy," and I don't want to fight him. Like all this stuff. So like, it is goofy, it is stupid, and then like when you see Floki show off Ymir, there's like this panel. Let's see if I can pick it up. What? But it's like when Ymir like. He's like double the height of Floki, and like Floki's face is like a cartoon villain face. You know, it is all kind of. I mean, it is kind of funny. Thorkel gets thrown, and then Floki's like, ha ha ha! Now this is what you call a secret weapon, Thorfell. I was like, and then at the time I was like, hang on, where's the secret? Like, did he talk about the secret weapon before? And then like. Ymir just gets thrown back, and then it's like, oh, that's a nice bet you have net power. I think at that point, I thought Thorkel was going to win, actually. Now I think about it, it's like Ymir doesn't have the heart to beat Thorkel.
Yeah.
So, I was never that worried for him.
And he lost in the end.
And then literally 6 pages later, we get this panel. Oh, yes. Look at this.
Oh, beautiful. God damn. What a chapter.
Yeah. Anyway, we should go back to Thorfinn moment.
Okay. So let's see.
Right prediction.
So basically, on seeing a crying Baldr and Floki who is consoling Baldr, Thorfinn gets angry and then he breaks his sword and then Hild lowers her weapon. So that's the gist. That's the summary. All right. But like, man, I honestly don't even know what to say. It's just so good. It's like when, this is like kind of showing how far Thorfinn has come on his journey. Where, like, this is like his ultimate test. Like this is the man who began his journey in the beginning. Like Floki is that man. So if this is like an important moment in Thorfinn's life where if he could easily justify and choose to kill Floki, like he's completely in the right, I'm sure, to kill him. And he almost does. And later on he's like, oh, that was a close one. But he doesn't. And I don't know, it just reaffirms his like how changed he is, I think. I think that's why it just works so well for me, where I'm like, I could easily see a version of this story where he does kill him. But he doesn't, and I don't know. But he does hurt him. Like he chops his fingers off. Like he's not perfect. But
yeah.
But it's great.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you picked up on this or didn't, but in a way, I mean, Thorfinn and Baldr have been paralleled a lot this arc, and what I think stops him and why Baldr just crying in front of him stops it is that Thorfinn realizes that. This is like him killing Thors, basically. This is like Thorfinn being, continuing the violence, but he sees himself in Baldr and being like, this kid doesn't deserve to lose his grandpa. Not necessarily that Floki doesn't deserve to die, but this kid doesn't deserve to lose his grandpa, and he needs him. And that's what kind of saves it. And so Baldr crying and being that embodiment of Thorfinn, baby Thorfinn in a way, shows him that. So.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
No, I mean, I don't know. I guess I had that in my mind, but yeah, makes sense. Yeah, I just didn't think about it explicitly, you know.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. It's just, I think the reason this scene is like this whole fight, I guess, is so good for me is just how engaging it is. Like when I'm more like when I can't really articulate why I like something in a way. That's really good. Like for instance, I made a whole video on Hunter x Hunter where there's like one scene where like it's a standout scene just because of how engaging it is. And I think this is one of those where I'm like, man, like I can just read this and enjoy it, and like I don't need to think about it because I feel it in a way.
Yeah.
Which is why it's so hard for me to just say stuff about this. I like it's so good. And we also get when I saw this, I was like, oh, this is a Kyle thumbnail. I've seen this. We get the picture of the blacked out Thorfinn face, and then like the flashes at the back. I particularly liked seeing Utley like that. I thought that was really cool. Like him being such a big impact on it. But yeah, it's cool. Great visual.
Avenge Thor's death, Thorfinn.
Yep.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. So, yeah, and then he breaks his sword. I guess that's a big thing. I thought that was such a cool visual, you know? Like, I mean, he doesn't need a sword. He'll throw it away. Yeah. And then I thought maybe he would have, like, you know, later on he threatens Baldr. Like, not threatens, like he takes him hostage. Was he using the broken sword, or was that just like a knife he found? Like, I don't know where he got that knife from or anything. But I couldn't see a connection where it's like, oh, it's the broken sword. Like, okay, it looked a bit different.
No, I don't think it was the broken sword.
Yeah. This section, the notes are a mess, but the last thing I've got, I can't believe how much of a mess this is. It's a point about Baldr, where he gets in last book I talked about all the characters getting a star shot, where you're seeing like a star shot in the background. Like Gudrun gets it when she's leaving. You get one of Hild when she's with her master, and when she's falling down when Thorfinn's killed her family or her dad. And then we get one of Baldr, where he's basically pleading with Thorfinn and everyone to take him with them. And
I found it. It's when he's looking at the ground, right, with his fist clenched.
Yeah. And yeah, I don't know. I don't really have much to say beyond saying he also gets one of those moments. Like this is a motif, I guess, throughout the story at this point, where you've got a big moment in someone's life where it's like they're kind of expressing their desire in a way. And no, I don't honestly. That's not even it, because we also get the like I linked it last book with the sparkling ocean with Thorfinn. So
yeah,
I don't know. I'd probably want to think about this. Like, what is it that connects to all of these moments? Like, maybe I'm sure there actually is no real connection. Like, there probably just looks good to like when you draw it. But I'm sure there's something.
I think definitely. I think in this arc, it's kind of like they're all talking about how they need Vinland, or this idea of Vinland.
Yeah. True.
So, yeah.
Like, I think this directly calls back to like the Gudrun scene specifically, where it's like, please take me with you, and Gudrun saying it, and then we get her like in the same page, we get her at the bottom. So it's cool stuff. What a visual. What a bloke this Baldr fella is. But that's it for the Thorfinn, Floki, and Baldr stuff. But I'm sure, I guess, I don't know if I don't actually remember if I said this at the beginning, but there's like so much in this book that I'm sure there's like so many connections that I've probably missed, and like so many things that we're just not talking about that we probably should be. But anything for this Thorfinn, Floki, Baldr stuff.
I don't have much more to add, really.
Yeah, cool.
But yeah. Actually, I do have something.
All right.
My personal theory is that if Thorfinn had killed Floki, Hild wouldn't have actually been able to shoot Thorfinn. That's my
You mean in terms of like feats, like speed, or in terms of like her not wanting to?
She wouldn't have shot. She wouldn't have been able to make herself pull the trigger.
Interesting.
That's my theory.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is because even when she knew that Thorfinn, when she thought of him as a beast entirely in the first arc when they meet him, she wasn't able to pull the trigger then. Well, she did, but she missed on purpose, right?
Yeah.
Because of her subconscious.
Yeah.
And this time, I mean, she sees Thorfinn kill someone. I know that makes things different, but I don't think after this arc she could have done it. That's just my prediction. But
yeah, interesting.
Maybe that's just a fan headcanon.
So okay, we'll talk about Hild. I have one note on the miscellaneous notes, so we can talk about that a lot more then. So
Yeah.
next up is, so they've had that confrontation with Floki. Next up is escaping from Jomsborg. So basically everyone takes Baldr hostage. Like it starts off with Thorfinn taking him hostage, and then they basically need someone to go and take him to the gate. So then Thorfinn's like, Sigurd, you take him. But Sigurd like demands Thorfinn he like apologizes. I don't know. He makes him say something, and then Gudrun basically calls Sigurd a miserable little man. And then takes Baldr hostage, and it's so great. It's like Gudrun's just gonna get it done, you know. Stop messing around, miserable little Sigurd. And then there's a good character moment with Sigurd where like he starts off by saying, "Oh, since when does Sigurd, son of Halfdan, stoop to taking children hostage?" And then as soon as he sees Gudrun about to get killed, he like steps in, and he has this epic moment where he like takes Baldr hostage, like puts a sword to his knife, like extending his arm all the way, and he's like, "Oh, not a step closer unless you want me to carve this boy's nose off." So you know, a cute little Sigurd character moment there.
And dare I say, Sigurd is cool in this
book.
Like his so fighting, cool. Like so like I remember like, oh, there's a funny moment where like he's trying to pull Fatty out of the when they're infiltrating, and like this is something I did like the first time I read it, but humor's good. Okay, guys, comedy is great. And so he's like, oh, you guys can't get back down there, and they can't push him down. So he pulls Fatty out, and all the other guys fall down. But he like throws Fatty behind him. I can't remember if he bowling balls or he just sits right in front of the guy. And then there's this shot of like Fatty about to get like, you know, killed or whatever, and then Sigurd has like this cool like anime moment. This is when he becomes, you know, he becomes the warrior of his dreams. He's infiltrated Jomsborg, and he's about to become the cool warrior, the cool Viking. Let me get this shot. It's oh yeah, like just like this paneling, I think is very funny. I love this goofy like, but this is the cool shot. This is the cool shot. This is the grade A Sigurd moment. Where it's like, you can tell he's like breathing out as he's doing it. You know, like, it's so cool.
And the chains are moving in slow motion.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you're like, for a man who hates violence and war, Yukimura is very good at drawing it. You know? So. I found the miserable little man. I'm just posting these in chat now because I love it. I love it so much. I want to see you put in there later.
It like cuts off his speech bubble. It's great.
Yeah. Oh yeah, but then Baldr reveals himself. Not Baldr, I mean Garm. Sorry. Funny. He's like, "Oh, hey, you've got my spear. That's mine." And then he's like, "Oh, now it's party time." But then,
it took me a while to figure out what was going on. It was great.
It is part of the whole absurdity here, but then you do have a cool kind of Sigurd you're like, "Oh, Sigurd, you're an idiot. You're trying to fight Garm."
Oh, man. All right, we'll talk about that. Don't worry. I got like 1 point on that, which we have to talk about.
Yeah.
But in terms of the people taking Baldr hostage. So Gudrun takes him, and then Sigurd takes him. And then Sigurd basically is telling like Gudrun and his friend to like go away because he wants to die for the sake of his family. You know, he wants to make his family proud. And then we got the best moment with Gudrun when she slaps Sigurd. And she is willing to give up like everything that is important to her just so he can live. And he's like, I'll go back with you. I'll go back to Iceland. Just don't die. And it just shows how selfless and like how probably how much of an influence Thorfinn has had on her. Where she like wants to be like him in a way. Where I don't know. It's just Gudrun is great. Like what a great slap, and everyone sees it, and it's like, what's going on there? You know, bit of comedy, I guess.
Like,
I
like how well. I think it also like it fits the time and the theme. Like when like it is funny that like everyone's like, okay, there's a woman on the battlefield, and she just like absolutely clocks this dude like a wham. Like she doesn't even slap him. I think she like full on. But maybe she does, but she just whammos him.
Yeah.
Like, and then everyone's like, what just happened? And then like she has this great scene where she's like, you know, it's just like everything in the background is white. It's just going on, and then and this is part where like the either the human can work really well for you or it can't, because the panel right after this heartfelt moment is Fatty coming in and whacking him, and it is quite funny.
Oh yeah. Hey, okay. No.
Is it Hild hitting him?
No, that's great. I loved it so much. Like that humor, especially with Hild hitting him, like afterwards, I thought that was so funny. Like that works so well for me.
Yeah, Hild,
and she gets it done. She knocks him out, you know, whereas Fatty doesn't.
Yeah, like yeah. I mean, she's hitting with the butt of a thing that is actually, yeah, that's tough. And Fatty's strong.
What a man. Let me just say, how great is Fatty? He's the MVP of this situation, you know? Like he's saying exactly all the right things, and then he carries Gudrid and Sigurd. It's just what a man. Yeah, SD character.
I also want to highlight, this is my second favorite joke in all of Vinland Saga. Hiding the ladle behind the speech bubbles is genius.
Goodness.
It is so good.
I love it so much as well. Genius. I almost had that in the Standout art. It's so good.
Yeah, like I love how you have like Hild's facial expression, and like I don't know.
Yeah, man.
Gudrid humor is the only one that can kind of pull it off for me a lot. So like almost like when it's really stupid, I don't know, something about Gudrid which is so funny. Yeah. And she's just like, But
yes, indeed.
Anyway,
so we get Gudrid, and then Sigurd, and then Fatty, and then Hild. It's crazy. Can you believe it? So everyone capturing Baldr. But next up, so at the end of this, essentially Hild is the one who has Baldr captive. And I thought that there's two interesting things here. The first is that her like reason for staying behind is that she says, "I will follow Thorfinn. I intend to see how he reacts in this situation." That's a very interesting choice of words. It's not like she's like, "Oh, if he kills this guy, then I'm going to kill him," or like it sounds like she's interested to see what's going to happen. Like, I mean, you could interpret it as like, I intend to see how he reacts so that I can kill him if he does it poorly. But like to me, the way I like to see this is that it's like, I think the confrontation with Floki had a big impact on how she sees him. Where it's like this man who was in the same situation I was in. And he by himself, like similar to what I did, he didn't kill the man who killed his dad. Like I feel like that would have to have a big impact on her perception. So, like in this situation, I feel like what she's saying here is not like it's kind of a step back from her wanting to kill him, and more on the fact that she's just interested, like this person who, like, how did he get, like, what's going on with him, you know, like in this terrible situation, how's he going to react? Like, I think she just is very invested in it, really. And not, I don't know. I just thought that was a really interesting line to throw in there.
Yeah, I think it can also be read in the opposite way, where this is the first time she's seen Thorfinn completely lose control, right?
And
so this is the closest he's reverted back. So she's thinking, possibly, you know, there's different ways of thinking about it, but like he may actually kill Garm, you know, like if he's this angry about it, like
that's a great point as well.
Like throughout the arc, we've seen Thorfinn getting more angry, getting more frustrated, and he does climax with Floki, and you would have thought it, but like she, you know, like Garm's a completely unique opposition. That's the point of Garm, and so, you know, just regardless, you know, she needs to, in order to verify that he has. He won't kill, you know, like for example, she may think, he may actually try and kill Garm to get out of that situation because there's no other way to get rid of Garm. So she just wants to see it through, right? So,
you know what? I like that better. I like that. That's good.
I mean, you can read it both ways. I think very valid.
No, there's only one interpretation.
Okay,
it's that one. Okay,
good.
No, honestly, I do like that. It makes sense, and I like it. So, the other thing about Hild in this situation is the fact that she leaves Baldr behind, and like that's like it just, I don't know, informs how I see her a little bit, because I feel like if Thorfinn or Gudrid were in that situation, then I think they would have happily died for Baldr's sake. Like I think they would have made sure that he came with them. Whereas to me, it seems like Hild is not this perfect moral vessel of like wanting to, do the right thing all the time and bring this poor little kid with them. Like I think she's just like she's not evil, but I don't think she's like some embodiment of perfection like Thorfinn's trying to be, or even Gudrid. I just thought that was interesting that she did that. Yeah,
she's being very pragmatic in the situation. She's using Baldr to distract everybody else.
Yeah.
So they go after Baldr and not after her, so then she can observe Thorfinn and people in peace, you know? Like,
yeah.
she does just like leave him behind and say, "Okay, sorry, Baldr, I can't take you. But I've got my own things to deal with here." Like she's being selfish in this moment. So
yeah. So we don't like Hild anymore, but
no, so bad.
Okay, next section, Thorfinn and Garm fight. We had a lot to talk about here.
Oh, actually, hold on.
Yeah?
Before we go here, at the beginning, what actually made your reading to be more likely of Hild's thing is this.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of my favorite panels here. I talked about so much about how look at the background of you can see Hild being like astonished at Thorfinn, saving Sigurd in the situation. And you have to realize that Sigurd is Thorfinn's. This whole time that she has known Sigurd has been antagonistic towards him. That if anything, they're probably actually enemies. Like Thorfinn would probably do better if Sigurd died.
Yeah.
But Thorfinn actually puts his life on the line, parries, Garm's strike, for him, for Sigurd. And you're looking at, Hild in the background, like astonished at it. So this is just one of those kind of like things where like, I think that probably where you're seeing Hild, understanding Thorfinn better or being, Thorfinn basically unintentionally showing Hild that he's changed, in dire moments. So it's all surprising stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's probably what somehow changes Sigurd's perception as well, even if he doesn't quite realize it yet. So
yeah, but also just like on this panel, what a cool moment! Like with Thorfinn coming in and stopping, like it's just so cool. But that's all I can say. But man, what a panel.
It is.
So, Thorfinn and Garm fight. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
The first, most important thing to point out is that this is truly a situation in which Thorfinn cannot run away. Like there is no option. Like he's in the middle of a battle. There's no way out. Like even if he was to run, he could still die from all this battle going on. And Garm is just aggressively chasing him. There's nothing he can do. So this is quite the test for Thorfinn. And yeah, so we I guess the battle starts with like that block from Thorfinn of Sigurd. What a cool thing. Then we get this really cool I don't know how to describe it. Cool page, I guess, cool panel of showing Garm's speed, where he's like zooming in and he's like a little blob basically. And more of that like not abstract art, but like more of like a warping of like what reality is. Like I think it just looks so cool. Unique to this book a bit. And in terms of the just the overall fight, like I think it lasts a while, obviously, but it feels very like atmospheric. Like you've got so much going on in the background. Like you've got like these archers are always shooting. You got like spears like attacking at all moments in every direction. Like these two fighters are trying to avoid basically the rest of the battle throughout the whole thing. Like it's a really cool like atmosphere to this fight, which usually the fights in Vinland Saga are more like, I don't know, in an open field or something, or in a forest with Hild and Thorfinn, whereas this one's like directly in the middle of a battle. It's so cool. We already talked about the Thorfinn POV, like that was awesome. So there's two aspects to this fight, in my opinion. There's Garm's perspective of this fight, and then there's like Thorfinn's perspective of this fight. So starting off with Garm's perspective, he talks about, I guess my first thing to say is that I think I was very wrong about Garm last time. So last time I was talking about, firstly, that he feels very parallel to Thorfinn in that maybe he killed his own Aslud, but clearly that was like, there's nothing like that happened. And the second thing I was wrong about was that he clearly wanted to die last book, and I thought one of the reasons I gave for that is that maybe he hates himself, like it's a self-hatred kind of thing. And I think I was pretty wrong about that. Like I don't think there's any evidence for that, or not strong evidence. So that's the first thing about Garm's perspective. But so what it turns out his actual motivation is kind of what he's been saying the whole time, which is that he thinks that like the only value he's ever gotten in his life is from fighting, basically. And he thinks that there is no meaning to battles. It doesn't matter if there's a meaning. You're having a good time, so you should do it, basically. Which goes in the face of basically the message of this entire book. Well, I get not really. Like it's weird because it goes against the message of the entire book while also supporting it, which is all about the futility of war. Where he's basically saying there is no meaning, but you still have fun, basically. So I guess it's kind of like a response to in a debate about whether there is meaning or not. But I don't know. I
Yeah.
thought it was interesting.
Interesting. I just found this panel, and it's a contrast to Gudrun's, side shot earlier, where hers is completely white, his is completely black. But it's almost like there's a sense of them being true. That they're being very honest with their feelings in this moment.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So
Small visual parallel.
okay, let's talk about Garm's backstory a little bit then, because I only have a few notes on it. But the first thing is just the visuals. What a great visual! We already talked about this a bit, but man, so it looks so good. The second thing is that basically his backstory, it's short, and I guess it could be summed up to he grew up loving fighting. Basically, he seemed like a broken person, but then at the same time, he clearly didn't grow up with a loving family. I don't think that didn't come across like that. Like his dad seemed to be a bit hate him a bit. And
Not nice.
like I wonder like how that would have changed him, like if he did grow up with a loving family. So my like I guess my interpretation of this backstory, or one thing that I really took from it is that it seems like it tries to portray him as like a person who was born broken, basically, like a person who like a psychopath or something, right? But I don't think that is who Garm is. And it's all because of like one thing that I see, which is that in that final like fight where he's basically fighting his entire village, right? And he grabs the spear, and that spear is basically what he's so attached to it. Like he gets it then, like a spear, and I'm sure he like probably makes a new one or whatever eventually, but he still uses that same weapon to this day, and he has this like unhealthy attachment to it basically. And it really feels like he has like this trauma that he's grown up with, and I don't know if it's like maybe it's just before this what we see in this backstory basically, but like it's clear that he's a traumatized individual that can be recovered. Like he's not broken. Like he has this obsession with this spear that is like, I'm sure there's a way to get through to him, you know? I don't know. I don't really know. Yeah, I don't really know how to articulate this, but like I think there's something important in the fact that when he in that final thing we see in the flashback where he's fighting everyone, he gets the spear, and to this day he still uses it. There's something there. But I don't know. So
Okay. So,
my thoughts. What do you think about all that rambling?
So looking at that, like, so he breaks the spear specifically.
Yep.
So I'm not sure if it's exactly the same spear. Like
no,
spear,
definitely not. Yeah.
But I like the idea that he does. Yeah, that's an interesting. I mean, I never really thought about like having some sort of trauma, but like it is almost like war to him and fighting to him is his way of existing. It's comforting to him. He doesn't know probably else how to function otherwise, and I think that's probably. I'm just trying to build off what you're saying, so I think that's an interesting way of thinking about it. That like Garm, he just hasn't known another way of living. He hasn't been shown another way of living, so that's why he lives like this. He is like many other people who need Vinland, an outcast by his village, someone who does not work in Viking society, but he's been pushed the wrong way. If he had a Vinland, if he had an accepting society, perhaps he wouldn't have to be like this. So
interesting. Like I guess his spear could be like it's an not an embodiment. I guess it's like a symbol of it's all he's ever known. Like without that spear, he's nothing. So he really needs that spear in a way.
Yeah, like he won't fight Thorfinn without it.
Yeah, like he doesn't have he derives his meaning from it. Like his purpose in life comes from that spear, which comes from his like upbringing. So I don't know. I see what you mean. I think I like what you're saying. Like it's a comfort. Yeah. Garm cool.
Garm cool.
Yeah. Anything else about the backstory? I don't really have anything beyond that spear point. Okay. Oh, Bacon. All right. Thorfinn's perspective. What a great thing. I don't. Where do we even begin? I guess we can start with the page that I showed in the standout art, which I'll send. Where, it's just so good. Like you've got Thor's at the top, defending. And you got his other aspect to Thorfinn, which is Astlad, and you got him with his Astlad expression. And as soon as I saw that, I'm like, man, this looks just straight out of Astlad. Like, what a great like facial expression. It's so obvious who it is. And I like even maybe the finger pointing. It's so good. But when I saw this, I just felt so dumb. I was like, how did I not see this coming? Like, it just... Essentially, what Thorfinn does here is give a Aslad speech, like Aslad, right? Where he's trying to manipulate Garm into... I'm pretty sure he's trying to. Like, he's trying to manipulate Garm so that he doesn't have to kill him, right? Which is something that Aslad did so many times in the prologue. Like, he's constantly having to fight Thorfinn, who is someone who's trying to kill him, and Aslad doesn't want to kill him because he's useful, right? So Aslad's entire thing is like finding a way to beat this person without killing them, which is like Thorfinn's entire goal. Like, there's so much he can learn from the manipulation that Aslad like did on him. Like, I couldn't believe that I didn't see that as like a connection. It's just so like how important Aslad's manipulation will be for Thorfinn's journey, and the whole concept of fighting and avoiding fighting, all from Aslad. Man, I don't. Yeah, just I guess that's my first point and the main point.
That point you made, that point you made there about like, I didn't have a clock on myself. I don't think, the fact that, I mean, Thorfinn is the Garm to Askeladd. This uncontrollable force which just wants you dead, just wants you to fight. Now, their temperaments is very different. But all those times Askeladd had to find a way not to kill Thorfinn. Partly because Askeladd, in some ways, maybe did not really care about Thorfinn because of his respect for Thor's, but also, more importantly, Thorfinn's a very useful person to manipulate in that moment, the amount of work that he does. So, yeah. Hang on. I think I just saw something. But yeah, I think that's a great point. I just saw something really weird. Hold up.
Oh, no.
So, I was looking through the pages. And look at this. So we have Thorfinn and Garm doing their cool fight. But next to this O, on the most leftward O here, there looks like there to be a Jomsviking in the
air. Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Smashed around by Thorkel.
Oh, that's so funny.
That's pretty funny. That's hilarious. Oh, I love that.
That is actually so great. What a spot. Good job. You should tweet that out or something. My goodness.
Okay. I will actually. Now you said that, I will.
Yeah. Oh, and for everyone listening, now you have some lore. You can know when we recorded this based on when the tweet comes out.
We already. I already said, I think, that I read Vinland Saga chapter yesterday. So.
Oh, perfect.
People can probably line it up somehow.
Yep.
Anyway, but
some geniuses in the audience.
Exactly. Yeah, I'll post it straight after this so you can figure it out.
Yep. Cool. Okay, so the Thorfinn's perspective of the Garm fight. Yeah, okay, that's the bulk of it. The only other note I've got on this fight, like beyond it just being so cool, and him like grabbing, using the same move that he used against like in that Bjorn fight, where he essentially Aslad was fighting without any weapons. Like it's very mirrored to this situation here. It's so good. But beyond all that, putting all that great stuff aside, I just a personal kind of note, which is that in Farmland, at the climax of Farmland for me, like in that book that I also liked so much. We really got to, at least in my opinion, I really got to see what it was like to be in Thor's shoes, right? Like when Thorfinn is reviving that dead slave, I really felt what Thor's was probably feeling in the prologue, like in the beginning of the prologue, like in chapter 3 or whatever. And I never felt it until Farmland, where I'm like, man, I understand Thor's now. And here, it's not the same, where I don't understand Aslad more or anything, but it just adds another element to Aslad, where I can. It's like when I go back and read those fights where Aslad is like manipulating Thorfinn in a way, I feel like I'm just going to get more out of it, where I'm like, man, I kind of see a bit more of Aslad's perspective here, like trying to deal with this annoying person who would just keep fighting you. I don't know. It's so like, it's a small thing where I like it. Like it just sticks out to me. It's notably good. One of the reasons why I like this book so much. Yep. Makes the earlier stuff better.
So did you notice any other parallels?
Oh my goodness! Any other parallels? Give me a hint. I'm sure there's a lot going on here.
There's a big one.
What am I missing? Is it Aslad related? Bjorn related?
I'm
not
get
sure.
to the page that is referencing. Hold up, I'm scrolling through.
Let me think.
Okay, hold on. Is it this one? Come on. I was like,
I'm on the edge of my seat right now, Bacon.
Yeah. Hold up.
What is
I'm
it?
getting there.
Parallel. Oh my goodness. How many fights have
Boom,
we had?
here we go. And I just thought something that makes it even better from your perspective.
Oh no.
So
Okay,
it
well, I'm
should
excited.
be loading now. Right.
Wait, he throws the sword away.
And it's on a starry background.
Oh wow, my goodness. I can't believe it. How did I miss this? I can't believe it.
It's on a starry background too.
My goodness. Bacon, I gotta add this to my like collection of starry backgrounds. How did I miss this? That's so important. It's so great. What a
that's
what a thing. What a motif.
So that that's the Thor's reference in this thing, basically.
Yep. Yeah.
Those
I definitely picked up. I'm pretty sure I picked up that reference.
At
least when I was reading it. But man, the story background as well, man. Yep. And it's
also
the same angle as well. I never really picked up that. That's so great.
So and the great thing about this one, and it was actually, I think it was better in the fan translation they did it, but this one is pretty good too. So it's 43, I think they fight in their duel. Maybe 46.
I actually went back and looked at that today when I was like, when I was writing my notes, I'm like, I need to make sure which chapter was this. It's from the Bjorn fight, right? When Aslak is like angry at Thorfinn, basically. So great.
Yeah, hold up. So let me get so here, but the great thing is that Thorfinn's quote here is responding to Askeladd here. So he's like, see? And Thorfinn goes, I see.
Bacon, this is so good. This is so good. Oh,
yeah, it's such a good moment. In the translation, fan translation is, yes, I see.
Wow.
Which the meaning's the same. I just like, yes, I see more. But it is very cool. It's like, so he finally kind of understands. So, and now because you've got the layer on top of it where you're saying, like Thorfinn is saying, I see, you're doing what I'm doing now by not trying to kill. So, like, but then there's also this interesting thing where like Thorfinn completely just doesn't like he doesn't like Askeladd still. He still hates him. He says, "What a horrid thought. The man that taught me these things are what kept me alive." And then, I mean, it's exactly the same. He does the exact same move. Garm tries to go kick him low, and he blocks it with his leg, and then he headbutts him. It's exactly the same moves. It's like, so it's such a cool callback. So yeah, and I mean, even the headbutts are exactly the same. Like the expression on their faces. This is where copying your own art is good. Okay, copying your own art is good.
Yep.
So,
my goodness.
But yeah, top Vinland Saga moment. But yeah, and does sound. Let me have a look further. But yeah, no, and then after that, Askeladd just goes and punches the absolute crap out of him. But
yep, that's so cool. I never realized how much of it was power. Like, the only thing that really stood out to me was him grabbing Garm's hands. Man, there's so much. It's awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Yukimura goat.
Goat.
Yeah, as we saw in Vinland Saga.
Yeah, indeed. Urasawa can take a seat.
Oh yeah.
The real goats are in town.
Definitely. So, what were we up to? Thorfinn's perspective. That's it. That's the fight. Anything else? It's a big fight. I think we've talked about quite a bit.
I think that's it. That's
all right.
That's it. I mean, I guess Garm talks about wanting to be friends with Thorfinn afterwards.
Yeah, they're already friends. Through this fighting, they've become friends. Interesting. Yeah. Okay, so I guess I don't know how to ask this, but like, I didn't understand that basically. Is what I'm gonna say. Is that something I'll understand later, or is it like something that's gone over my head?
It's just to show. It's just to show that Garm, how his way of viewing the world is very warped. I guess, and he just doesn't know how to get along with people otherwise. Like, this is his only form of communication. Of playing. He just likes to fight and fight your hardest.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yep. Okay, cool. Next up. Well, okay, I guess there's two things, because we haven't actually talked about the battle itself, like the war going on, just beyond like touching on a little bit. I don't want to say I don't have too many notes, but I just think maybe I've also already mentioned this, but I just thought it was such a cool depiction of the chaos of battle. Like it's just one of the one of the best depictions I think I've seen of just like an ongoing war where everything is like going terribly and people are dying left, right, and center. Yeah, I just thought it was really cool. But that's the only point for the actual battle, you know. There's so much going on as well. It's crazy. Like there's the Thorfinn and Garm fight. Like it's crazy. All this stuff.
I think this is another reason why it may not be as liked as much, because the plot is much more fast moving and confusing. Like you think about, you know, in one book they infiltrate. You're trying to see like, okay, what is Thorfinn and crew trying to do? Okay, well they try and rescue Gudrid, but like then they get this confrontation. But like things deviate a lot from their initial path. You know, they're trying to get out, they're trying to escape, but you can kind of lose the idea they're trying to escape, and then Thorfinn starts fighting, and you're like you kind of, it does all make sense, but sometimes it does get a bit chaotic. And I know I found myself losing myself in the plot when I first read it, and still to this time I don't have it fully planned out. And I think in some ways it is the most complicated plot of any climax in the series so far. So
interesting. Okay, I don't think it like I have had that happen in other stories before. For me, I didn't find this confusing at all. Like I don't think there was any point where I was like, oh, this is going. Like, I didn't think it was going too fast or anything, and I didn't like. I thought it was pretty straightforward to follow. But I did take it pretty slowly, and I was making notes. That's probably the big.
That's the thing. Yeah. I think that's the big thing. You know.
Yeah. But there's something else I was going to say. Oh, okay. The other thing I was going to say is that do people actually not like this or like it less? Like to me, like I said before, this is like the best stuff in Vinland Saga so far.
So most people, I feel like lots. I mean, you get people who like this a lot. You know, like it just as much. I wouldn't, but I mean, for a while. I mean, particularly, for a little bit, people, I'd say like once the arc ended, then people were like, okay, this is weird. You know, like I don't know, it just didn't sit right with people, and people would be like, okay. You know, first two arcs were like 10 out of 10s. This one's like an 8 out of 10. So it's not like they're like, oh, it's awful. It's the worst thing ever. They're like, it's just not a masterpiece or whatever. And people like to go online and give their scores as like objective ratings and all this stuff. But I mean, I know I definitely enjoyed it a lot. So
all right, yeah, okay. At the end, we'll compare all the arcs. I want to hear what you think as well. Okay, then we get the wrap up. So the battle's happened and the battle ends. And Thorfinn becomes the leader of the Jomsvikings. Crazy. Voluntarily. And then he gives 3 orders. So he orders that Floki and Baldr are to be exiled, Jomsborg is to be abandoned, and the Jomsvikings will be disbanded. Crazy. What a wild, bold thing, you know?
What a wild bloke. He's crazy, man. And
he manages to do it because he has Thorkel's authority, because he owes Thorkel a favor now. Which is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always like Thorkel. What a bloke. He's got Thorfinn's back, his nephew's back. Or great nephew or something. And then we also get so when Floki and Baldr are exiled, they go fishing. Essentially, they're on a boat, and Baldr's like, "We need to fish for food," and he has a smile on his face, and I have a smile on my face. It's just great. He got to live. He didn't kill himself. He's happier now than he ever was, I'm sure. In exile. I'm just so happy that Baldr seems like, at least. I mean, he could die now. He could drown in the water or something. I don't know, but I'm just glad he got a happy ending.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and Floki seems like he wants to do it with him. You know, actually, I reread that, and like Floki's like, "Oh, what bait will we get?" You know.
Yeah.
And Floki's like, "Oh, let's," and then Baldr's like, "Oh, so like it's not like Floki's completely broken. He's just moping around a little bit. So he's not like, say, what you may presume Kessel to be like at the end of Farmland. Like Floki's still like there, you know. So.
Yep. Good bloke, that Floki. You know, maybe he'll come around. Maybe he'll become a hero. Yeah. He'll meet them in Vinland, you know, and everyone will live happily.
I will make my legacy here.
And then Hilda punches him. Oh, not Hilda. Ylva punches him, and it'll be great. And you'll love it. All right. I
love it.
So another interesting thing that happens in this wrap up is that Thorfinn is forced to compromise, where he gives these 3 orders. They leave, and then he hears that a battle is going on. And then he's like, oh, the battle's going on, Thorkel. And then Thorkel's just like, yeah, the small scale, like, people will die, but eventually they'll lack the energy and stop. And there's nothing Thorfinn can do. Like, he just accepts it. So it's not like a big grand point or anything, but I thought that was interesting, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Then we get Thorfinn at Thor's grave. And he gives a speech. But I don't have too much to say about it, but I just thought it was great. Like, I thought the ending to this, like the final chapter where they're at Thor's grave, I thought that was a great place to stop this war in the Baltic kind of stuff. I don't know. Then we get probably my favorite part of the book, which is that we get Gudrid's love beating Thorkel into submission. Where Thorkel, Thorkel's like, we're going to fight right now, Thorfinn. And then Gudrid goes up and punches him. And Thorkel's like, oh, you love him, don't you? And Gudrid's like, yes. And then because of that, Thorkel decides to stop fighting. And I think it's just really cute. And
it is adorable.
It is. It is peak. Like, I really, like, I was reading, smiling, weeping tears, but not really. I wasn't actually crying or anything, but I was there. I was really emotionally invested. I liked it a lot. And I like the fact that Thorkel, like, he respects her guts, you know? He's like, oh, this woman punched me, and, like, I respect her now, and I'm not going to fight anymore. I don't know. Yeah, some people would be like, oh, it's unrealistic or whatever, but, man, it's so good. Like, this is the Thorkel I like. You know, good stuff.
Yeah, he's like, eek! Oh, you love him, don't you? Like, yeah, he's loving the drama. And then at the end, I love how he's like, well, I suppose that settles it. Women are scary.
Yep.
You know, even the great Thorkel fears one thing.
Yep.
He fears women.
Absolutely. With his new haircut.
That was funny.
I wonder if this haircut will be permanent.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
We'll have to see.
So, now, okay, let's get through this. An hour and a half. It was pretty long. Next up, I've got 1 point on Sigurd, because Sigurd is a big part of this book. Just in terms of the themes and everything, he is definitely a big part. That's something I need to reflect on, I think, afterwards. But he's the entire, like, throughout this book, his whole journey is all about whether he's going to be what his dad wants him to be, or whether he wants to be his own person. And the one standout scene, I think, in this is the scene where Fatty or Piggy calls out Sigurd and is like, you don't love Gudrid at all, do you? And then because of that, Sigurd reflects. Is like, what do I really want? It's just the seeds of, like, what I think we'll get in the next few chapters, which is some Sigurd stuff. But yeah, he doesn't really get a resolution here, but he definitely is at the stage where now he's actually considering things. So I do like Sigurd a lot. I'm really interested to see what's going to happen going forward. But that's all I've got for Sigurd in this entire book.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, he doesn't do much in this book, to be fair. So.
Yeah, I mean, technically he does a lot, but
yeah,
like,
he does
nothing worthy of, like, analyzing, I guess.
Yeah.
So next up, volume bonuses, Bacon. There's two things that I just thought was, or one thing that I just thought was so great. But the first thing is that we get this. I thought it was a really interesting note from Yukimura about people dying young, and the fact that back in the Vikings times, 50 years was considered old. And I'll read out the quote. Okay. Life was short and ended in a blink, too short for dreams and ideals to come to fruition. So with that perspective, the way that Viking warriors lived in the ephemeral spirit, looking forward to the next life and numb to their own death, makes a certain kind of sense to me. Yeah, cute. That's really it. I just thought it was a really cool quote. And a little bit of justification for their living structure in a way.
Yeah.
But Bacon, the best thing in this volume, the bonus, we get this unbelievably cute announcement about the anime and how there's going to be an anime coming and it's going to be made by Wit Studio, the great and amazing Wit Studio. And he's talking about how, oh, I'll let them do it and I'll get out of the way. I trust this team and they're going to do great. And I thought it was just so cute. Like, what a great announcement. And so I'm assuming this came out like this book would have come out at the time, probably in like 2019 or something, I would imagine. So cute. That's really it.
So this is basically the announcement that came out when this chapter came out, not when this translational book came out. So I had actually this book came out actually after the anime just finished airing. It was like that same December. So because this was the first book I bought that I had to wait for its release basically. So yeah. I managed to not read any this was before I was in the Vinland Saga community. This was before my first Vinland Saga video, I think. So I was like just staying away, and I kind of read all the chapters at once. But after that, I started reading weekly.
Yep.
Or monthly, sorry. Yeah, no, it's super cute. Yeah.
So I wonder, is there like a season 2 one? Do you have any announcement for that coming up in a book or volume?
No, not really, actually.
It's fallen off.
No, yeah, I mean, he's much more involved now, I think, for sure. But like, he knows the director and all that stuff. So
yeah,
but yeah,
okay,
yeah. So I mean, there are a few things I love, and I think this is something that now I think about it, maybe not, but I feel like this is something that Yukimura has. I mean, here's another blank background of Gudrid talking here. It's dark now. But like there's another, like there's a lot of focus on facial expressions, like here you got all these like reaction panels of, like Gudrid being like, like Hill just looks bewildered. She looks very surprised. I mean, this is the stuff I love,
Yeah.
So this is when she first punches him. I'm sending that one through. But yeah, there's lots of subtle character. I mean, there's also I don't know why, but every single Hill's in the background of so many panels, and I think it is actually kind of important. Like in this one, for example, she's just there, she's just watching. So
yeah,
I think it gives her this feeling that she is really watching Thorfinn's every move. So
yeah, like her number one line is like the 3 dots. Like she says that so often.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah. And actually, one thing I just noticed now is like it is quite intentional because Hilda's even sketched in this like
yeah.
Thing here.
I really
so,
like those like ending cute like little sketches of like the most important like kind of moment. I really like those when I see them.
Yeah, no, it is very cool. So yeah, I mean, I think also this Thorfinn one is like, but it's just so exhausting that it's fighting and stuff. That makes sense, But now with Thorkel knows of Vinland, that's another big deal. So
yeah,
well, he may turn up.
Yep. Well, that would be really interesting. Let me say that's not in my prediction. I couldn't believe that'd be crazy if that happened. But
I'm not saying if he has or has not yet, but it is possible.
I guess that was an interesting speech he gave about like he basically laughed at the idea of Vinland and is like, if there's 3 people, there's gonna be war. So yeah, it is cool. He does know about Vinland. What an interesting thing. I do want to think about that. Thorkel on Vinland. What a thing. Well. We're up to... So, yeah, we got miscellaneous notes. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Boy.
We don't have that many, thankfully. So, Ragnarok gets mentioned in this book. And it's been so long since it's been mentioned. So I wonder if this is going to set up a time skip soon, or maybe when they get on Vinland, there'll be a time skip or something if they get there. Because I know that like there was like I'm trying to think of like the timeline stuff. Like there was in the prologue, they were like, oh yeah, Ragnarok's in 20 years. And the Judgment Day of the Christian Judgment Day was like in 20 years. So I think it's been like 5 years since then, roughly. So another 15 years, But yeah, I just thought it was an interesting miscellaneous note, the fact that Ragnarok is finally brought up again. But that's the first miscellaneous note. Second one, I love Sigurd's nickname, Spunky. It's great. It fits him perfectly. That's exactly what he is. He's Spunky. Yeah. That's Sigurd.
Siggy.
Yeah, Siggy is also a great, beautiful nickname. Another miscellaneous note. There's this cool. I like this joke. Where the 2 guards outside of Baldr's room, they're like, all the other men have gone away. It'd be a shame if someone attacked us right now when we're open. I thought that was funny. It was a good little joke.
Okay.
But okay, this is the other thing. Last book, last video, you said that there was a really bad joke in this. Like I don't know if it was like when we were talking about Gudrun farting or something last book. You're like, oh, don't worry, there's a worse one next book. Do you remember what that is? Any ideas?
Oh yeah. That's when like Fatty was farting in his barrel, and that's why they got alerted to where Fatty is.
Yeah. All right.
Bad humor. I can't believe it.
Yeah. Do you wait? So do you actually not like that, or is it?
I didn't like it when I first read it. No.
Yeah. No, it makes sense.
I was like, seriously, and then Fatty has his like, oh, use that weight towards him. Like, doesn't it is absurd in a way.
I just felt bad for this fellow. He's like, he can't control himself. Like,
but like he's like battering Jomsviking out of the way, and he's in a barrel. Like he's not that heavy.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's one of the moments when my brain is like, oh, that's unrealistic. I don't like it.
Makes sense.
Like that moment when everybody has that one criticism, which is bad criticism.
Yep.
Oh, unrealistic. Don't like it.
So Fatty is an F tier.
F tier character.
Yeah. No, that reminds me. This isn't a miscellaneous note, but you know that Frank guy who I never remember his name, who's in like D tier or something. He, like, I guess he's like unrealistic depiction or whatever. Like he looks like an alien basically.
Oh, the French, Jabeth.
Yeah. When I saw Ymir, I kind of thought of him. Where I'm like, this is another creature which is like a bit like they're both humans, but they both don't look anything like humans. I don't know. I just thought a weird connection there. But next miscellaneous note is I have a nice picture here, which I'll put up on screen, that I think Hild looks so good in the Jomsviking cloak. Like it suits her so well.
Yeah.
Like I wish she keep that aesthetic, going forward. It's so good.
Yeah. I mean, Hild just looks cool in general. Just flat out. So scars, very cool. Very cool. I like scars.
Yep.
If you want to make a character cooler, give him scars.
Absolutely.
It's a simple math equation.
Yes, sir. And she's got a band like Thorkel. My goodness. Crazy.
Yeah. The headband. Oh.
Yep.
Peak character design.
So, hey, I have a note on Ymir. We already talked about Ymir. What did I even say? I said, what the heck is Ymir? But we already talked about that. Next up. Oh, I thought this was a funny point. I think it's just ironic, the fact that after this giant battle, I am incredibly satisfied, just like Thorkel. Like, Thorkel ends this battle and is so happy and satisfied, and he's loved this war, and I've probably enjoyed watching this as much as he enjoyed it, I just thought it was a funny thing. Or like, I loved reading this, and I probably loved it as much as he enjoyed being in it. Cute little thing. Now, the second last miscellaneous note. We get a little bit of lore in this book, I think. I don't even know where this is from, but I made the note. Apparently Thorfinn is the fourth chief of the Jomsvikings. So that would mean it's Thorfinn, and then Sigvald's son, or like whatever, Sigvald's successor, it might not have been his son, and then Sigvaldi. And then that means there was one more before Sigvaldi. So the Jomsvikings are not that old. Like they've only been around for like, 4 generations. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Interesting bit of lore. Yeah. So the final miscellaneous note, which is this is something we said. We'll talk about it later. If Thorfinn's actions at this point haven't proven his worth to Hild, then I have no idea what will. Like what will possibly, like, maybe it's just like over time, like a very long time, that she'll like come to, I don't know, the fire of her hatred will burn out. But like, I don't know what Thorfinn could possibly do at this point that will prove that he is not this monster that she thinks he is. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you can really say anything, because I'm sure there's more stuff. But yeah, I don't know. What could be? He's done so much. He didn't kill Floki. He didn't kill Garm. He disbanded the Jomsvikings. Like, goddamn. What else can this man do? But yeah. Now,
fair enough. Yeah.
Next up, I guess we could. So the only things I've got is the predictions, but the only other thing we can talk about is talking about comparing the arcs, like what we thought about it, I guess.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think you know what I think, which is that I don't even know if this was in the video before, but so I like the prologue, but I guess in terms of reading, I had already seen the prologue, like in the anime. So definitely reading it, I didn't enjoy it as much as these other 2 arcs, which are new. But I still like it. There's a lot of great stuff, and I think this stuff in these arcs after it have made it better as well. Like there's a lot of stuff to go back and read it differently and think about it more. But then there's so I'd say the prologue is probably, how many are they? The three main arcs? Like there's the prologue, Farmland, and this War in the Baltic stuff. Is there anything else I'm really missing? That's it, right? So far.
Well, you've got the Eastern Expedition arc, which is not quite over.
Oh, true.
But yeah, so you got the whole. I mean, that's kind of
that would fit on.
But yeah, the Baltic War is Baltic War is inside that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, then I would say that the oh god, Bacon. I don't know. I like the other two arcs so much. Like they're so different. Like Thorfinn in the Farmland arc, like even just thinking back to how he looked, like with his hair tied back and like his whole attitude and carelessness, like he's like, I don't know, just mean, like walking around and doing his job all day with Einar. Like that's good stuff. Like going back and reading it, oh man, it's gonna be so great. Like seeing Einar and Thorfinn bonding and like becoming friends. And then the end of that book is so great with Arnheid, and like I still think like chapter 93 it's up there with chapter 145, whatever chapter it was in this one. Like they're both so great chapters. It's hard to say which is better between Farmland and they're so different. I would say the highs in this book particularly was so high. Like I think the highest highs in this book particularly. But like maybe Farmland is like more consistently has highs, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I think in terms of books, I think this is my favorite book. So this one, and then the book 7 or whatever with the end of Farmland, basically. I think that's next. And then everything else is just equally good. I don't know. They're all great. What do you think, Bacon? I want to hear your complex thoughts. You've had years to think about.
I don't really rank them, but I do like to make memes. Yeah,
great memes. Are good. All right.
Yeah. No, I mean, at a certain point, I just view it all as the same thing.
Yeah.
And they just build on top of each other. And so cutting them, clear lines between them, it's fun for discussion. It's kind of like talking about like who's the strongest fighter in Vinland Saga. Like, but is that really the point? It's fun.
So who is the strongest? It's Thor's, right?
I mean, it's Thor's, right? Yeah.
Oh
Thor's
my goodness.
Yeah. But then everybody's like, oh, would Thorfinn actually, if Thorfinn fought Thorkel in this fight, would he win? And all this stuff. I mean, and then people are like, well, he hasn't trained for a while. But I'm just like, dude, he literally just beat Garm. And Garm fought, I mean, I know it's not exactly, Thorkel wouldn't fall for the same things, but I think, I reckon Thorfinn would have been able to beat him, but maybe not, so anyway, I mean, very tough.
All right. Well, predictions. I only have 3. They're very short. I basically, again, this is feels like an end of an arc kind of thing, so I'm not really sure what's going to happen. But the one thing I am certain on, Bacon, is that Sigurd is definitely not taking Gudrid back to Iceland. I am 100% certain on that. Okay. If that happens, it will be the biggest shock of this, like, my entire read through here. Sigurd is... I think what will happen with Sigurd is that the most, like, straightforward thing, which is that he'll go back to Iceland and be his own man. He'll stand up to his dad. He'll forge his own way in life on Iceland. So I think that's what's going to happen with him. But yeah, I guess we end this book with him with his friend being like, "So Sigurd, what are you going to do? Gudrid loves Thorfinn." So I think that's going to be a big thing the next few chapters. Or maybe just one chapter. I don't know. But I guess the one like subtle point I think is that I think maybe Sigurd could take Leif back with him to Iceland. Like I know it would be very difficult or maybe impossible for them to sail without Leif, but like he's obviously very injured. Like he got I thought last book he only got shot in the leg, but he also got shot in the back. And we open this, like the one thing that makes me think this is that in chapter, like the first chapter here, 145, I think, we get the short story of Olaf and his friend, where they're being executed or whatever. And in that short story, we get this like Olaf's friend basically says that, oh, nothing ever changes. And then like the next page is about like Leif, And it kind of feels like they're trying to set up that Leaf is like part of the old generation, and now we need to like move on to the next generation, and or maybe now it's time for Leaf's life to change and like go into retirement or something. So it kind of feels like maybe Leaf is not going to make it to where are they going? To Greece. So that's it. Sigurd's taken Leaf back with him to Iceland, and Gudrid will go on to Greece and Vinland. So there we go. You happy? A good prediction?
Yeah. Interesting.
All right.
Interesting predictions.
Next up, I think the journey to Greece will go smoothly. I don't think there's going to be any more hiccups. I think there's not going to be a big war again. I think they're going to go there and it's going to be good. I think they've got the war out of their system, all right? It's going to be nice, smooth sailing. Maybe we'll even get a time skip and they'll end up there like in 2 chapters or something. I don't know. So, the final prediction, which is a kind of a strange prediction, which is that I don't think we're going to see Canute for a very long time. I think we've seen all the Canute we're going to see. I think maybe like if they do get to Vinland, then maybe like once they've spent like a few volumes in Vinland, like a long time, then we can like see Canute again. But yeah, I don't think we'll see him in a long time. But that's it.
All right.
That's all my predictions.
Interesting.
Wow. That's the end. That's it. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, not really. That was longer than I.
Yeah. It's because it's just so much happens in the book.
Yeah.
In the best book of Vinland Saga.
Yeah. And this is why I shouldn't read stuff, because then it gets even longer.
Yeah, true.
It's good. It's really good.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for watching. Was there something we had to shout out? I don't remember.
We're shouting out the animation, right? Maybe.
Oh yes. Check out the animation in the description. Yeah, it's great.
It's done by @CarlSephany3, I think. So
yep.
Yeah.
Check him out on Twitter. And that's it. Thank you for listening.
Mm-hmm.
See you.
Bye.